have one more week left.
It's one more week?
5 days.
That's crazy.
It's been 41.
Can we have
It's a
another
lot
week?
of weeks. You want more weeks?
No.
You can work over the summer if you want.
Can we have another
It's
week
up to you.
of games?
I'm good.
Who's going to be playing, Adrian? It's
I
going
don't
to be
know.
all of us in a slow pitch.
NorCal
softball league.
week.
NorCal week. Yes, week 41. It all comes down to this. So we had our section title games last week. And congratulations to all of our section winners for both baseball
Very
and
exciting.
softball. Yes, very exciting stuff. We had a lot of close games. We had some insanity, especially with that Willow Glen St. Francis softball game that we'll talk about that later on in the pod. But welcome to the Cover Cal High podcast. I'm your host, Jake Vanderbrook, alongside Aubrey Tolliver to my right, but to your left as a viewer, and then Robert Braunstein and Adrian Soriano. Okay, so, yes, a lot of recaps to talk about, but let's start off with baseball. So, Robert, you had the exciting D1 CCS final at Excite Ballpark, and you were able to
Fantastic.
shoot behind the plate.
Shot behind the plate. It was great. You know, I go back and forth. People think I'm crazy, but we did. And that was great. And the sun had set, so it was nice and cool.
Yep.
Beautiful weather. I had a great time.
Yeah, talk a little more about
You
the
want to
game.
know about the game
Yeah,
itself?
I
Sure.
do.
You don't-
Not
you don't-
just your experience at the game,
I
Robert.
thought you just wanted the weather report. It was clear and mild. And 78 degrees. That's your weather report. Sponsored by. We need to get a sponsor for that.
Okay.
But no, it was a great game. It was Valley Christian and Serra, as you might recall, and Valley got an early lead. Quentin Marsh had a base hit to give them a 2-0 lead early on, and then Serra just kind of started nibbling back into it. And Aaron Minton had a bases loaded double to left field that got Serra even at 2-2, and it was tight from then on.
We were all watching the game in the office.
That's right,
So
yeah,
we
we got
had
the game
all
on.
finished all of our games, so we turned it on the network. And the biggest play that stood out was the play at the plate, the squeeze.
Yeah.
The squeeze at the plate.
At
That
the- in
just
the
kind of
7th
killed
inning?
it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so number 5, the pitcher for Serra, who was in relief.
Yep.
And Valley Christian had done a successful squeeze bunt earlier in the game, scored
Okay.
the first run of the game. And so they tried it again, and it was a good bunt. And we just came in and committed to throwing the ball to the plate. Picked it up perfectly, a perfect toss to the catcher. And Jack Armstrong, the All-American boy. You guys don't know anything about that, but there was a Jack Armstrong All-American boy. That was a cartoon back in the day. And he made the tag, and so you get all sorts of useless trivia from me. That's my value to the podcast. Useless trivia. And got the tag, they got the out, and that would have been the tying run. At the time, it would have been 3-3, and great play there. That was a huge play in the game.
We were freaking out in the office. We went, oh.
Yeah.
Do you like the call to go with the squeeze?
Oh, absolutely.
have
Absolutely.
seen-
It worked earlier in the game.
Sure.
Valley Christian, John Diotti does a great job. They're a very fundamentally sound team, so he's confident that this guy's going to do his job, and he did.
Yeah.
I've seen more squeezes this season than I think ever before, especially on the softball field. If you can put down the bunt, that is almost a defense can't really defend against it.
Especially if it's
perfect.
If it's a left-handed hitter dropping that bunt down, you have you have like a 3-step advantage making it
well,
to
not to first base. The play at the plate.
Oh,
You
the play at the
can't-
plate.
Yeah, you can't get the.
Yeah, and the pitcher's got to
play
do
at the
everything
plate.
right. He's got to
Yep.
pick up the ball correctly.
Right.
He's got to transfer. He's got to toss it home correctly in a good spot, and he did. So credit to the defense for
Yeah,
making the play.
incredible.
Yep,
Game-saving
and
play.
that is Sarah's first section title since 2009.
Yeah,
Really?
That's pretty
That's
crazy,
surprising.
man. 09. And you know what? Sarah lost like 18 players from last season, so that's pretty crazy to do that, right? I mean, shout out to Sarah.
And
I guess,
wins the regular season too.
and they win
Yeah.
the league regular season title. That's not easy. That's not easy to do, especially after losing a lot of seniors.
Yeah, that is crazy. So they're going to be the 3 seed in the Division I NorCal bracket, while Valley Christian will be the 5 seed in the D1 NorCal bracket. So believe it or not, we have 5 Bay Area teams that are going to be in the D1 NorCal bracket, but we'll talk more about that later on. Aubrey, you had a really exciting Division II game with Hollister and Wilcox.
Unfortunately, it was a little one-sided with my Wilcox Chargers, but very, very excited for Hollister. Hollister took home the 3-0 win in the D2 title game behind a gem pitched by Trent Roach. Just this big, I feel like Hollister had some strong guys on the team. I think it has to do with those rodeo boys out in Hollister.
Well, they're hay balers.
They're hay balers. They've been baling hay. They've been baling hay since they were probably 8 years old.
So they're strong.
And it was great. I was in the Hollister dugout, and everybody was just so happy to be there because Hollister has made it to a section title game for I think 3 seasons. I
think so. Yeah.
This was the third season in a row they've made it to a section title game, and this is the first one they've taken home. And the atmosphere was just incredible. So it was again the shutout, a 7-inning shutout by Trent Roach. He also had a hit in the game as well. And it was exciting.
Yeah, a lot of exciting action at Excite.
It seemed like this season was a season of like firsts for
a
lot of teams.
Right.
First section title in school history, sometimes first section title in 30 years. Yeah.
And that was the case for the Kings Academy
That's
at
right.
West Valley College. TKA taking down Gilroy for the CCS D1 title in softball.
I mean, it was 1-0, and I was joking in the office too, right? When I got there, I was like, "Oh, how am I gonna put these highlights? All I'm gonna do is, 1 run and then strike," because that's what it was.
Strikeout.
It's just strike. I mean, but it was a pitcher's duel. I mean, it was a great game, and boy, it was hot. It was hot at West Valley College.
It was.
But TKA had the good luck from being interviewed by Jake at the Riker Center.
They
earlier in the
did
year.
not
That
get
was
the
good.
Rikus curse. I don't think it
I
counts
never
for
heard
them.
of such a thing.
I don't think it
Rikus
counts
curse?
for
I don't know
them.
What are you talking about?
What is
No,
that?
that's not a thing, Adrian.
No, it's the-
But let me tell you, Katya Nesper is the real deal.
Yeah.
The postseason, she has dominated. 48 strikeouts in her last 3 games. There's
18 strikeouts a game. That's what she was doing. 18
Averaging.
strikeouts a game. Yeah.
Averaging.
Crazy.
She's going to Northwestern.
Northwestern.
And she's a junior, so she'll be back next year.
I don't know if you know this, but there's only 21 outs in a softball game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 63 outs in 3 games. And
Except if you're St. Francis and Willow Glen, then there's more than.
oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Let me
exactly.
tell you. So, going into this game, I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a pitcher's duel between Belanti and Clincy. Boy, was I wrong. That was not the case. It was high scoring. And at one point, it looked like St. Francis was going to steamroll Willow
Yeah,
Glen.
that's right.
It really looked like it that way. And Peyton Sow and Hayden Hummel, they brought the bats early. And Sandoval, Bella Sandoval. So really, they had the momentum. And it was like 6-2. And then Willow Glen just started pouring it on in the bottom of the 5th with the Dilbeck sisters. Clincy had 3 ribbies in the game, who had a pair of knocks along with a 2-run bomb. And it's like, oh, goodness, we have a game. And I was not expecting that. But the story of the game is that St. Francis, they were dealing with a bit of adversity with their pitching. So Belanti came in. Went out. They put in Nguyen, Haley Nguyen. She came out. Belanti went back in, came out. And then they bring this freshman who gets called up from JV, Bianca Fisher, called up from JV. And she was dealing. Dealing. 3 innings pitched, 4 Ks, 2 hits without allowing a single run. A huge reason why St. Francis was able to capture another open division
Was she
title.
throwing hard or was she throwing junk?
She was throwing gas.
No, she was throwing really.
Gas.
As a 14-year-old.
Just a freshman.
And she comes into a game, when you're a 8th grader, you don't quite understand sections.
No.
You understand a league.
You're just
like,
happy to be there.
Okay, yeah, I understand a league, like a section title, okay. So when you go into a game like that as a freshman, I don't think you quite even know the gravity of it. That 90% of all athletes around the Bay Area don't even make it to a section title game in their entire career, and all of a sudden you're pitching for a section title.
And when I interviewed her after the game, she's like, "I got this. No big deal. No big deal." But I did not expect that decision from Mike Oakland to put in.
You gotta give Mike Oakland credit.
It was very interesting.
You have to give him credit for that, right? I mean, to have the guts to call on a JV call up into the biggest game of the season, right? I mean, I don't know what else to say. I was there at that game.
She didn't make varsity.
But to be fair, they had three really good pitchers, right?
Yeah.
Three really good pitchers.
Collier too, right? They have Collier as well.
Yeah, and you know what? Give credit to Bianca too, right? I mean, I get it. She's a freshman, and maybe she doesn't really quite understand the feeling of pitching in the biggest game. But it takes a lot of confidence to just get in there, get in the circle, and start dealing.
I guarantee you this. She will be on varsity.
Oh,
next
she
year.
earned her spot already.
She'll make the varsity.
Yeah, she'll make the
earned her
varsity
spot
team.
already.
There's no question about it. But just a huge moment for Bianca Fisher. And hey, those Lancers are still rolling. Another CCS title for them in the Open Division, and they will be the 3 seed in the D1 NorCal bracket.
That's right.
So, okay, I introduced this segment last week called Surprised or Not Surprised. I thought it was interesting. I just randomly came up with it when I was at
You thought
home.
your idea was a good idea?
It was decent.
I liked it.
Our social media guy, Nikon, loved it.
Okay.
I liked
that's
it.
That's
Yeah.
two. That's two.
Okay.
Well, 3.
Okay, so maybe you'll like this by the time this segment is over.
We'll play for the first time, Robert
Okay.
and
All
I.
right. So, okay, believe it or not, surprised or not surprised, for the first time since 2013, an East Bay League softball team did not play in the NCS D1 title game.
Very surprised seeing how that regular season panned out with it going either way. At one point, we didn't know if it was going to be Carondelet, San Ramon Valley, Livermore, Cal.
Yeah.
And it seemed like that was the best softball being played in the East Bay. Definitely.
It's tough with Liberty because
Exactly.
with their league, it's not the same caliber of league as the East Bay League for the most part. But you kind of expected, or at least thought, that Liberty would have a chance to get there. Mm-hmm. But you would think that they would be playing one of the East Bay League teams. So yeah,
Which they had to roll through the East Bay League to get to the championship.
Yeah,
So.
no, they definitely earned their title.
Yes, they did.
Right. All right. What about you, H?
Surprised. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, coming into the season, right? If you tell me, oh yeah, in the NCS D1 final, there will be no East Bay League softball team, I'd probably laugh at you. Because it's just, right, the East Bay League is the best softball league this season, without a doubt, in the NCS and CCS, right? And I guess the bloodbath of the East Bay League really got to the teams because, they just beat each other up throughout the season, and, Liberty took advantage, and Casa Grande took advantage.
Yeah, Liberty was like, no problem, we got this.
No problem.
So, and they are the NCS D1 champs. And speaking of Liberty, yes, they are the D1 champs for softball, but they're a 4 seed in the Division II NorCal bracket. I find that very interesting. I'm surprised.
When I read that sorry, we do have a list of things. I got to read through the list that you put together. That right there is the most surprising thing. You win a D1 title and you get put in Division 2. How does that? How?
If you think about it, right?
How?
If you think about it, a couple years ago when Cal won the NCS D1 title, they were the 8th seed in D1. And then last year, Amador Valley won the NCS D1 title, and they were the 8th seed in D1 last year. And then
were they the 8th seed or were they the 7th seed?
They were the 8th seed because they were the 8th seed because St. Francis was the number 1 seed last year, and they beat St. Francis, and then they went to Oak Ridge, I think, and they beat them.
That was Amador Valley.
That was Amador Valley last year.
Yeah.
So they were road warriors, and they won the NorCal D1 title as the 8th seed.
Okay, but drop in Division 2, okay. You win a D1 title in NCS. All right, that's it. But the 4th seed in Division 2?
Yeah, I don't know about the 4th seed.
But the thing is, though, was that Amador Valley wasn't the 1 seed going into the NCS tournament
I know, that's
last
why
year. But Liberty was.
That's what I'm saying. That's
this
surprising.
goes right over my head. You can't even tell. I can't even tell you what I ate for breakfast last year. But you guys are spewing seeds from.
That's why I always say, just make the brackets and we'll schedule the games afterwards. Because trying to guess and prognosticate on who's going to go where and how it's going to get played is just never.
And a
never
lot of
works
it
out.
too. It goes into max preps, but sometimes max preps isn't even all that accurate.
Yeah.
Coaches can really just put anything in there.
At the
So
end
you
of the
just
day,
give Liberty the D2 title right now.
Oh,
why,
okay.
is that a prediction?
By far
And
the
I
best
hope-
team.
Is that a
I hope
prediction?
for our
Is that a
our good
prediction?
friend,
Yeah, that's
the
Okay.
prediction.
Coach Macias and
Brandy
Kate-
and Cindy Macias.
Yeah, Brandy,
Yeah.
Cindy Macias, and also we are big Kate Skinner fans as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We love Kate Skinner. So.
Absolutely. Great game. I mean, you saw her against Foothill.
I did.
saw her against Casa Grande. Just
She makes
dominating
it look
the circle.
easy.
Yep.
She makes it look so easy.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
it was just, none of those games were predictable. And these East Bay League games, just when you think you got it figured out, somebody loses, and
Right.
Adrian has to redo the poll for the 800th
On Saturday
time.
That's all right.
night.
No, well, now I'm kind of stress free with the poll because there's not a lot of teams playing, and it's kind of easy to.
But
put
here's
it together now,
the issue,
so.
Adrian. You're going to put somebody in the poll who may or may not win a NorCal title, but was like in
I
a
know.
lower division.
Well, I mean,
that's what you're. That's
I mean,
what
for
you're
the
about
most-
to do.
But it's interesting because Liberty, on record, they are a top 3 team
Yeah,
in the Bay
for sure,
Area.
for sure.
There is no question about it.
And there's at some point when you don't play in the best league, then you kind of leave room for doubt, and they
Right.
shattered all doubt
But-
last week.
But this next part doesn't make sense. So take that into consideration
Yeah.
that Liberty is in the D2 bracket.
Uh-huh.
So Cappuccino
Mm-hmm.
is the 8th seed in Division 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
I
they
don't know
in-
about
Are they
that.
in your top 10?
Cappuccino.
Yeah,
I think
Cappuccino's.
so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
They're top 10
Yeah, this
material.
one doesn't make any
Absolutely.
sense. This one doesn't make sense to me.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, Foothill is
They're
what?
8th seed in Division 2, right?
No,
that's Foothill.
Cappuccino is the 8th seed in D1. Foothill is the 8th seed in Division 2.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
So are they telling us? Are they telling us that Cappuccino is a better team overall this season than Liberty?
That's
I
the
highly
message
doubt
that I'm getting
I
from
highly
Max
doubt
Preps.
that.
Well,
I
no,
highly doubt
that's
that.
I mean, when you rank them, that's exactly what you do. And unless you're going by school size and all this stuff, that's what
they're
these
going
rankings
by.
are.
They're going by how many wins you have against A-League teams.
Yeah.
And Cappuccino plays in an A-League. And
Yeah,
so
they
they beat
do.
all those teams,
But
but,
look at-
they're not the same quality
But see,
as
but look at
the East Bay League.
Liberty's road to the NCS championship, right? Cappuccino, yeah, they beat Valley Christian, who's a good team, right? But they didn't
Solid
even make
team.
the finals. They didn't even make the
Absolutely.
finals. So I don't get it. I don't get it. That's why we're here.
So what we're saying is the CIF should look at us and have us do all of the.
well, I mean, no.
I've
but
seen that
I
job.
would not
I don't want that job.
no,
So-
because then there's going to be other 4 schmucks on another podcast
That's
saying,
right.
"What is this guy?"
The
crew
only
doing?
thing that
Can
I
you
could
say schmuck on our podcast?
Is
Yeah.
a schmuck a thing?
I think
yeah,
yeah,
I think
schmucks.
you can. The only thing
Did I
that,
just call ourselves schmucks?
Yes,
I
you
think we
did.
did.
Yeah.
The only-
That you can do.
the only thing that I
Technically
could
accurate.
think of with all of this tomfoolery, I'm going to say that. You can say tomfoolery
You can,
on the
no
podcast.
question.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
No question
You make
about
the
it.
rules
I don't
But-
recommend it, but you can.
But I will say this. I feel like maybe the CIF was looking, well, maybe you didn't make it to a championship game. We'll put you in a higher division than where you should be, and you're going to be the low seed. That's
Yeah,
the only
I don't
thing
know.
that I can look at. Maybe they look at it as it's a punishment in some sort of way that you didn't make it to a title game, and
And you
I
gotta
don't
play,
know.
yeah.
But that threw me off on Sunday, no question
Yeah.
about it. Okay,
right, next
let's
one.
move over to baseball with the surprised or not surprised. Santa Clara Baseball captured its first section title in program history in the D4 bracket as an 8 seed. Surprised or not surprised?
I'm not surprised.
Not surprised. Okay,
Shot,
yeah,
shot
you
them
go.
earlier in the year and was really impressed with the way they played. Very well coached, fundamentally sound. They're making plays, don't make a lot of errors. They can hit the ball. Their guy, I call him Horfendorfer, but his actually named Drew Diffendorfer.
Diffendorfer.
It's all E's. Diffendorfer.
Yeah. He's
pitched a great game.
Yep.
For them was outstanding. Interviewed him afterwards and pitched a one-hitter. Was unlucky to have to give up the one hit.
So you're not surprised that they're the 8th seed in D4?
I'm not surprised that they won a CCS title.
The question was 8th seed in Division 4.
Yeah, they should not have been an 8th seed.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they should have been higher.
You look at Santa Clara, to me, they're a Division 3 team.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. I really think Santa Clara could play teams like Christopher and Carmel. And as a matter of fact, earlier on in the regular season, Santa Clara ended up beating Lee.
Yes, they did.
Who was in Division 2.
Yes, they did. That was the upset, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that meant to Lee at the time. Lee had clinched their division in a non-league game and, on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But again, for Santa Clara...
But it's a nice win
It's
for
a
them.
great win for Santa Clara.
Yeah.
I think Santa Clara is way better this year than last season, and I covered them last season, right?
Right.
And that's why they're still in the El Camino this year is because they didn't win league. But they're a much better team this year, absolutely. And congratulations to them. First ever, a lot of firsts.
Now
that's not a young school. They've been around
it's
for a
not.
long time.
No.
So first
now
time means something.
I personally love a low division. Like a section title, a NorCal title will be a NorCal title at any way you slice it. And I will always call myself a NorCal champion, even if it is D4. You know what I mean?
Even if it's Sonoma State.
Yeah.
But
I went to
champion,
super regionals. I went to an NCAA super
Here we
regional.
go.
It was Division 2, but you know what? It was a super regional in the NCAA.
And that's not easy. That's not easy to do, right?
Easy to do.
No.
D1, D2, D3,
Did you
D4.
play?
I was kind of the reason we made it there. I will say.
In your humble opinion.
In my humble opinion, I rode the bench nearly my entire career. I had a great 3-game stretch that included a grand slam and a walk-off.
Wow. Do you have any,
And that was
do you have
the
any
extent
video
of my
evidence of that?
career. No.
Is there video of it?
I have a picture. I have one picture. That's about it.
No one was streaming the game.
No, this was 2015.
They didn't even have the internet back then.
Yeah, no.
They had the internet back
This was
then. Come on now.
prehistoric times. Prehistoric times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
Okay, more NorCal talk. Hollister and Acalanes, they captured section titles over the weekend, but they're low seeds in the D2 NorCal bracket, while St. Francis, who didn't even make it to a title game, is the 2 seed.
Yeah.
Surprised or not surprised?
Not surprised. Not surprised. I mean, I think they're St. Francis in the West Catholic League, right? Tough schedule. I think that's what got them the 2 seed. And Acalanes, they had an okay year, but they won D4. What did they win? D4 title or something like that. And then Hollister not winning League 2, right? So not surprised.
Okay.
These are tough because these are teams that finished third or fourth or fifth in their league. So it's really hard to know where they're going to play in a division like that.
Okay. What about you?
Surprise, we'll say. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just all everything. When you get to like Robert said, when you get to teams who maybe have a great playoff run but don't have a great regular season, you have to take both of those
exactly.
into account.
You can't just take. Oh well, they won section title. They should.
Which goes
should be
into
tested.
we could make a whole segment on winning a league tournament title.
Yeah.
And what that actually means because it holds different weights in
It
different
does,
leagues.
Yeah. And not every league does it anymore. Right?
I know.
There's only a
and
handful.
I don't want to call out the league, but I feel like one league takes it much more seriously than a regular season title, which should never happen in my opinion.
That's not the East Bay League.
No.
No.
What did you say? I don't recognize that league name.
Okay, despite losing 18 seniors last year, Serra still found a way to win a section title.
And a regular season title.
And a regular
And
season
a
title.
regular season title.
This is, and Serra's had some pretty good baseball teams in the past.
Yes, they have.
They have, yes.
Can you name a good Serra baseball player?
I know Tom Brady played at Serra.
Oh, I got one. I got one for you. I got one for
He
you.
played
He
baseball
played
too?
baseball
Altman.
Yeah.
Who?
Altman.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got one for you.
Okay.
Barry Bonds.
That's
Barry
a good
Bonds
one.
did
How
play
about
as
Greg
well.
Jeffries?
Who's that?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Who's Greg Jeffries?
Greg
Yeah.
Jeffries?
Who's that?
Major League Baseball player, played for the Mets for many years.
Oh, did he
great,
really?
Great Serra Padre, sure.
Oh.
But this was an outstanding team for them. For them to be able to do that was fantastic, and they look great doing it.
Yep.
I don't think they laid an egg all season long. It's a good team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not surprised, man. Not surprised.
No, they're a good team, and they're legit. Big bounce back compared to what they had last year to win the CCS title.
I mean,
okay,
yeah.
5 Bay Area teams making it to the D1 NorCal bracket.
Not
Is
surprised.
that a surprise or no?
Not
5 out of 8.
surprised.
5 out of 8.
Not surprised at all.
Robert was asking me before we started rolling because I covered Sacramento schools, Sac Joaquin section schools for 2 years. And I can't really remember how we fared out against NorCal teams. I believe only one of those years we even had NorCal
For baseball?
championships. For baseball and softball.
Well, Granite Bay, yeah. I remember Granite Bay when you were there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to say how it kind of squares out is the top maybe 3 teams in the Sac Joaquin section can hold their own, but I do think when it comes to, the middle bottom of the Bay Area teams, they tend to outperform the Sacramento schools. So
Not surprised.
So not surprised was my long-winded answer for that.
If you think about it, right? I mean, it's Franklin and St. Mary's and maybe Oak
For
Ridge
baseball?
and for baseball, and then that's pretty much it for D1, right? So, man, I feel bad for Valley Christian, man. They got to travel up to St. Mary's again this year.
Yep.
Oh, again.
They have to go up to Stockton again.
Yep.
I mean
That's a tough ballpark to play
Exactly.
on the road because they show up at St. Mary's.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
They will sell out that stadium out there. Yeah.
How many Bay Area teams walk home with hardware after Saturday?
That's a really tough question. Baseball and softball?
Baseball and softball combined.
Oh, that's so hard. I
You
think
have 5 divisions.
5 divisions
so you have
each.
10 divisions total.
For softball and baseball. So 10 total.
I hope we get
Good math.
5 in. I hope we get 5 in.
I'm gonna say I think at least De La Salle will win a NorCal title. At least De La Salle. I'm gonna leave it at that because it's just so unpredictable when you go down divisions, right? Oak Ridge softball. I mean, they're the number 1 seed, and St. Francis makes it to the final. They have to go up to Oak Ridge. So
I think at least 5 or 6. By the way, did you see that Spangler home run that I shot?
I
in
did.
the
Oh, my
semifinal
God.
game?
I
He hit it
did.
over the house in right field. Unbelievable. Over the house.
on that new field.
Yeah, so you got to hit it. Not only you have to, you got to hit it
Gotta
over the
clear the
net
fence.
first. You got to hit it over the fence, then over the net, and then over the house.
Really? There's not just a house sitting in center
Well,
field?
no, no,
You
it's
have to go
right-
over
right
the has to
field.
go over the fence.
There's
first?
a net before the house, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did not protect the house in that one, but
Hey, at least it didn't
over
hit the window.
house. I've never seen that at De La Salle.
at least it didn't hit the window.
No.
Right.
By
hit
the
the
way,
roof.
that was our player of the year.
That
Our
was
NCS player of
Yeah,
the year.
He was awesome.
Outstanding.
And gave me a little shout out as
He
he's
sure
coming
did.
after he
Well, you're in his
hit
face.
home plate.
You're-
I was in his
you're
face.
in his face. I see.
But I had to run from first
tell
base
me.
down.
I want to see. I wanted to see your timing with the camera sprinting from near
Yeah, my
right
home
field.
to first base has gotten cut down as I've gotten older. It's less than a minute now.
Wow, a minute. Wow.
Home to first.
That means Spangler was really taking his time around the
He
bases.
was taking his time. That was quite a bomb.
Yeah, it was.
But see, that's why I said I think De La Salle will win the NorCal title. I mean,
They're
they've
really good.
scored at least 12 runs the past 3 games. I mean, their offense is on fire right now.
I am sad we didn't get to see a De La Salle Granada final.
Well, Granada,
Yeah,
bad day for
You gotta
them.
make it there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there.
you gotta treat every
And
game.
if baseball in one game series is so tough.
It
It's
really
crazy,
is.
right?
It
All they
really
needed to
is.
do was to win one more game, and they would at least have a shot at a
Yeah.
NorCal bracket, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. No, absolutely tough. And, baseball can be just a brutal sport sometimes.
Absolutely.
It can really be a brutal sport, or it could be your best friend. There's no in between.
No,
There's
absolutely
no
not.
in between. But before we go, this is our last podcast, but I wanted to ask you guys, what was your best moment of the year? Or what was your best moment of all time?
All right. I know Robert's going with an all-time.
Yeah,
all-timer.
I gotta go.
You're an
I gotta
all-time
go.
guy.
I'm going to give you. Can I go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to give you 2 all times. 1996 NCS championship game, Ensenal playing, and they're up by a run. They bring in Jimmy Rollins to close the game at the Coliseum.
Yep.
He strikes out the side, and Ensenal wins that championship, their second in a row. And my other one is a CCS game, 1997.
The year I was born.
The year you were born.
I was born.
I was shooting this game in 97. It's Leland against Mitty. And Mitty's up 6-0. And then Adam Shorsher, our guy from Diamond Training, comes up and hits a grand slam for Leland to make it 6-4. And then Zeph Zinsman for Mitty.
Zeph Zinsman.
Zeph Zinsman.
That's
what
quite
a
the
name.
Yeah,
What a name.
and a great player. He had broken his wrist the previous weekend. And the doctor said, well, I'm going to put a cast on it, but you can play as long as the pain is okay. So he comes up and he hits a grand slam for Mitty with a broken wrist and a cast on his left wrist. And Mitty goes on to win that for Bill Hutton and the Monarchs.
You know what we call that? Gritty Mitty.
Yeah, there you
Gritty
go. That's
Mitty.
the definition of gritty mitty right there.
Yep. Absolutely.
And now Zeph teaches math at Valley Christian Middle School.
That's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Say that name again. Zeph Zinsman.
Zeph Zinsman.
Love it.
Who's also a great volleyball player.
Boys
Mitty's
volleyball.
known for those two sport athletes, aren't they?
Yeah, and I don't know how he played volleyball and baseball in the same season. I've favorite ones.
Okay, what about you,
Okay. So the game's kind of, I'll tell you, when I'm sitting down watching our show before we send it to NBC to air, every week I look forward to the shot of either the crumble cookie at the end and the Chick-fil-A. Those, so as much as like the games are incredible, when I sit down and I watch those kids like hand out the cookies at the end of the game, like that's one of my favorite parts of every single show. And to have both of those products in there this year.
So my game, the Valley Christian Serra game, at the end of the game, I'm interviewing Aaron Mitten, and he says, I said, what does this mean to you? He says, this is one of the greatest moments of my life. And here he is, he's a 16-year-old sophomore. He hasn't had that long of a life.
I love that
but that's,
so much.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go, for an all-time for me, I would have to go 2 years ago at around this time when De La Salle was facing Valley Christian. And this was just an emotional game for Hank Tripaldi, because earlier in the year he lost his mother. And as a matter of fact, Adrian did a story on Mr. Tripaldi. And great story, by the way, Age.
Thank you.
Big shout out there. But Hank Tripaldi had the game of his life where he went 4 for 6 and a go-ahead grand slam in the 7th to beat Valley Christian to take home a NorCal title. Yeah. He literally had the game of his life.
Yeah, and that's the one where mom's looking down on you to help you out.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. Age, what about you, man?
Great moment.
Well, not all time. I guess
the question is all time.
Oh, it has to be all time? I thought it was from the season.
No, you can do this year.
Okay, well, all time, that's going to take me forever to think about. But this season, I'm going to go, I know in the rundown it said TKA. And shout out to their softball team and boys basketball team for winning NorCal, CCS, and all that stuff. But I will go with Bishop O'Dowd football. That one game I did a crumble. It was, I had Brandon Mason, shout out to him, our dancing referee, a dance with him on camera. And then I forgot his name, but I remember, he's going to kill me for this. He's going to Washington.
Yeah.
Deji, Joe
Deji, that's right.
Deji,
I'm so sorry, Deji. I forgot your name.
I know.
But
I got you.
I think he made
Jake remembers everything.
He does.
He made a play on offense, I think, and man, I got him saying, "I want my crumble," and I'm like, "Oh man, it was the funniest thing." And
it's so
the
great.
WWE Championship belt after the game, and
that's awesome.
I covered O'Dowd baseball earlier this year, and he was like, "Yo, Adrian!" I'm like, "How does this guy recognize me from far away?" And he's all the way by the parking lot. I'm by the third base dugout, and how does this guy recognize me? So he's like, "Hey, Adrian! Hey, come here! Can we talk to you for a minute?" Like, yeah, sure. So I'll go up there, say hi, but yeah, that's my
every season that goes by. Just like as we wrap up this year, every season that goes by, there's all these certain highs. Some things will stick with us. Some things, but for these kids, it's amazing that sometimes in the highest point of their life so far, like you said, we get to be there we get to be there for those moments and even capture those moments for them. Because Robert, we still, almost on a weekly basis, you'll get an email from somebody saying, there was this game that you guys were at. I'm pretty sure it was you. And do you have this video? Yep. And 20, 30 years will go by and they still remember these moments and we're capturing them in real time.
And that's our job.
Yes, it is.
Pretty nice job.
Yeah.
Remember the 1 week this year in the basketball season? I got a half-court shot, game-winning buzzer beater, one game, and then the next game, kid blocks the shot, other guy grabs it, almost full court, just grabs it at the end of the first quarter and throws it the length of the court.
Oh,
and goes
my goodness.
Back-to-back games.
And he's going to remember that for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Well, I'll remember it for the rest of my life.
Just look at Isaiah Hodgins right at our banquet. He was looking at those highlights. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I was doing that in high school. Man, that's insane, right? But it's
so nice
crazy
to be able to have the video of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like, hey, I shot that. I was there. And it always gives you that memory.
I've been doing it long enough now, too, that I see our guys in the pros now.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, I was
Brian Wu, right? From Seattle.
Brian Wu, exactly.
You interviewed him when he was in high
Alameda.
school.
Brian Wu went to Alameda.
So
and
it's insane.
I'm watching him play against the Giants, starting pitcher against the Giants. And he was I think at that time it was the South County game of the week. And I'm doing a post-game interview with him.
Yeah. And you got Najee Harris.
Oh, that was my first assignment here.
Yep.
I mean, the biggest thing, Robert, Pat Tillman.
Yeah.
Who was a buddy.
Yeah.
That was devastating.
I'm sorry.
That was devastating. There's so many people. I mean, you can just go on and on and on. Go to College Park and look at their left field fence lists. There are 2 guys in the majors right now.
Yep.
I got to mention Javon Holland, man. I covered him in Bishop O'Dowd, and now he's with the New York Giants. So
yeah.
Your team.
It's my team.
You gotta get a jersey.
I got to get his jersey at some point.
Ryan Wright, the punter for
Exactly.
the Minnesota
He's
Vikings.
with your team.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, he's
It
from
all comes
San
back
Ramon.
to Bay Area high school sports is what we're saying.
Absolutely.
It's crazy, man.
Absolutely. Hey, it's been a wonderful season
Yes,
with
it
the
has.
podcast. We'll be back in August.
That's right.
But for now, we got to say goodbye, and it's safe to say, this is where I throw the paper.
Oh, okay.
You've been covered.